In this video, we will take you through the process of filing a Notice of Appeal at the UK Supreme Court on the UKSC and JCPC online case management portal. From your My Cases page on the portal, you will click File a New Case. The first question asked is, are you legally represented? If you select No, it will take you to the eligibility check function of the system, which is covered in a separate video. For this example, we will click Yes and then Continue. The next question, which court? For this example, the Supreme Court. And then, what are we filing? A permission to appeal, a notice of appeal, a reference, or an application for permission to intervene. For this example, we are doing a notice of appeal. You would then click Continue. You are taken now to a page of 4 steps. During this video, I will take you through step 1. Steps 2, 3, and 4 are dealt with in separate videos. Step 2 is dealt with in the party video. Step 3 is dealt with in the documents video, and step 4 is dealt with in the payments video. To start filling the application in, you select Enter of your application information in step 1. For speed in this video, I have pre-filled in these boxes, but I will now talk you through them. The name of the court for the decision you are appealing, in this case, Court of Civil Appeals. Do not concern yourselves with putting the exact official name in, as long as it clearly identifies which court it is. That is fine for our purposes, as we will correct it at our end anyway. Who were the judges in this hearing? If this is a criminal case, yes or no? The date of the order being appealed and the date permission to appeal granted. In this case, the order being appealed and permission were granted on the same day, 12th of November. The neutral citation of that judgment. This is an optional field, does not have to be completed, but it would be helpful if it could be, if possible. The hearing start date. This is the start date of the hearing whose judgment you are appealing. It is not the start date that you want for your hearing in the Supreme Court. A brief description of what was decided in this order. Very factual, very brief, in this case just appeal dismissed. What are you asking the court to do? Here I said I want the original order set aside, and in addition the order being appealed to be set aside. A short summary of the facts of the case. This should be, as it says, a very short summary of the facts. It should not be your grounds. Your opportunity for uploading your grounds comes later in the process. This should purely be a brief summary of the facts. Do not overthink it. Do not try and put everything, the entire history of the case here. It is just very clearly the facts. Should be a few lines, a paragraph at the most. The next box is keywords to assist the court in indexing the case. This, again, quite clear. I've used employment, sex discrimination, but the examples here, judicial review, relief, housing act, etc. Again, simple keywords to assist with indexing. Do not overthink or try to overcomplicate. You click continue, it takes you to page 2. Page 2 is where you'll enter any considerations for the appeal. The first question relates to anonymity. There are 3 options. You can either apply for anonymity if an anonymity has not already been granted previously in this matter. You can apply to extend an order for anonymity that was granted previously in the proceedings, or you can say no, an order for anonymity is not needed. If there was an order for anonymity earlier in the proceedings and you wish it to be extended, you must select the second option, yes, I'm applying to extend an order for anonymity. If you do not select this option, the court will not automatically grant anonymity based on the lower court. You need to say that you are applying to extend the anonymity, and in this box here, why it should be granted. You should also upload a copy of the order for anonymity with your supporting documents later in the application. The next question is whether this case needs to be dealt with urgently. I have selected no here, but this is where you can say any reasons why it should be dealt with urgently, for example, if it's a right to life case or similar. Please be aware that if you are making an application for this case to be dealt with urgently, you need to supply a proposed timeline for this matter, including the hearings, the relevance of any supporting documents to your application for urgency, as well as any comments from the other parties about this application for urgency. Please be aware that if the Supreme Court does grant urgency on a case, it may be that the case is listed purely for the availability of the court. Non-urgent matters are listed for the availability of court and for the representatives of the parties. However, if a case is deemed to be urgent, the priority is given to where it can be fitted in the court list rather than parties' availability. So you will run the risk of losing your counsel. You should be aware of this before you make an application for urgency. The last question, are you applying for permission to appeal on the other grounds? If you are, you should include these documents in the supporting documents upload later, but I, for this example, have clicked no. Page 3 concerns further considerations for this appeal. The first question, are you receiving legal aid? If you are, please put the legal aid certificate number or equivalent here and upload a copy later in the process. Do you need to apply for extension of time? If you're applying for an extension of time as part of your notice of appeal or similarly PTA application, it does not need to be served as a separate application. It becomes part of the initial application. However, if you do not apply at this point and later, after submitting your application, realize you require an extension of time, that will need to be done as a separate application with a fee. So if you need an application for extension of time as part of your notice of appeal or your PTA, you should select that here. There is also the question whether you have previously been granted an extension of time by the registrar pending legal aid. If you have been, and you've clicked yes here, you should put the details in below. You may then click continue. Page 4 is for additional application information. Are you asking the court to make a declaration of incompatibility? I'm selecting no, but if yes, please put the details in here. Are you bringing the case under devolution jurisdiction? Yes or no. Are you asking the court to depart from a previous decision of either the Supreme Court or the House of Lords? Yes or no, and if yes, please provide the details here. Are you asking the court to refer a question to the Court of Justice of the European Union following the UK's departure from the EU? This, as you will see, is only possible in very limited circumstances. If you select yes, you must input the question here. And finally, is there a case where there was or should be a departure from any retained EU law? If yes, please upload the reasoning with your supporting documentation. The last page is a chronology of proceedings. Here, you should add the details of the previous hearings in this matter. So this is, for example, in this one, the Court of Appeal hearing, the court below the Court of Appeal, and any previous hearings there. For this example, I would just add the Court of Appeal hearing. Judgment date as filled in earlier in these papers was the 12th. Neutral citation, I must admit I cannot remember what I put in, so I shall put a blank one in. The hearing start date was the 28th. Who were the judges? A brief description of what was decided in this judgment. I'm just going to put appeal allowed here, but I would request that more information is put by yourselves. Then finally, the date refusing or granting permission, which in this case from my previous information was the 12th. Click complete. That is the first one, and then you can click add to add any more. You would then click complete. Stage 1, or step 1 rather, of the notice of appeal process is now complete. As step 1 has been completed, you will have the option to click here to export a copy of the application. This will download the information you have put in so far as a PDF. This is to serve two purposes. One, if you wish to review the information offline, perhaps in concert with someone who does not have access to the portal, you are free to export and go through it there, come back and correct and change any information. Because this application has not yet been submitted, you can still make changes. Applications do not lock until after you have submitted. Similarly, once you have performed first service, once the court has issued this application, you will come here to download a copy of the application to perform that first service. That is the document you will serve on the respondents in this matter, along with the supporting documentation. The next steps are enter review party details, upload a few supporting documents and make payment. As mentioned, these are dealt with in a separate video on our website. So this now reaches the end of this video.